Hey everybody, Zach here, and welcome to the 28th lesson of the RTS tutorial series. This is the final full lesson of this section of the series. And in this video, we will finish cleaning up some of the material we've worked with, and we will set up our vehicle HUD so that we can get our units to stay in the vehicle until we say for them or tell them to leave. Given the time of year right now is the middle of exam season for my undergraduate students and many of my graduate students, I'll be a bit busy and haven't had a chance to pre-record my material for the next section. So it will be a bit delayed. I still will release a video on Friday, but it will likely either be addressing some material in a different area of game design or doing a little bit of review of material from this section. So the building and construction material will be presented hopefully next Monday, but I cannot make any guarantees given the time of year. All of that said, I should be returning to a regular schedule, hopefully fairly soon, as exam season is almost done. All right, now all of that said, fire up your editor and let's get started. So here we are back in the editor for the final part of section 4 of this RTS tutorial series. In this, we'll finish a little bit of the cleanup and we'll even add in our game HUD, our vehicle HUD. So very quickly, the first thing we are going to do this is we are going to create a new enumeration. So go to your blueprints folder and go to your enums. And we will do right click, blueprint enumeration, and this will be our vehicle types enum. So in here we are going to have civilian, just in case you want civilian transport. We are going to have transport, which is what we will actually be, kind of working with in general. And I'm just going to add another one in for fun, tank. Just to give you an idea of what you can do with the master later on. Alright, so now that we've done that, let's go to our vehicle master. Let's just make a quick reference to this. So in our vehicle master, we're just going to create a new, just one second. We're going to create a new variable here called vehicle type. And this will be exposed and on spawn, and we can also edit it. And it will be, of course, of that enum type we just made. So we'll type in vehicle types enum. Compile so we get the reference up. And we'll change this based on each vehicle, but for now we're just going to put this at transport just so we don't have civilian up there. We're going to hit compile and save real quick. And the next thing we're going to do, so we're going to go into our widgets folder in our blueprints, and we're going to duplicate our unit info HUD. So just right click, duplicate, and get rid of that one at the end, and this will become a vehicle info HUD. And we're pretty much going to keep everything, we're not going to keep everything. We're going to use a lot of things that are already here. First, let's get rid of this name box and everything that goes into it. Let's also get rid of this image box. Ooh, that was way too many things highlighted there. Get rid of that. And let's get rid of this last little bit. We're going to leave the box actually this time around though. And in text, we're going to change this over to vehicle type. So I'm just going to type in up here, I'm just going to rename this as vehicle type box, or sorry, let me get up to the correct thing, which is the box here. So this will be vehicle type box. This will be vehicle type label. And this will be vehicle type text. Here I'm going to just put the word civilian in for now. And I'm going to remove that binding. And where I have sex, I'm going to type in type instead. Okay. Now, in the age box, I'm going to rename this as passengers box. Again, if I spell passengers wrong, I apologize. And then it will be passengers label text. And again, I will change age over to passengers. Leave that colon in there. And I'm going to clear this binding. And I'm going to change this to 04, just for a reference to myself. And this will be our current passengers. Let me fix the spelling and casing there. Current passengers text, and now I'm going to highlight the spacer and the current passengers text. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it there, and I'm going to repeat that one more time, and this will be passengers text spacer. I'm just going to make this a stroke or a slash or whatever you want to call it. This will be my max passengers text. Also, it would help if I had the vowel in there. Let's put that vowel back in, and we'll leave this as 04. Make sure that binding is clear. Okay, so next, our birthday box will be our unload passengers box. And in here, we're going to have a button. So just going to drop that into there, which will fill. And as you see, it's filling horizontally instead of, vertically instead of horizontally. So we're just going to put it, you know what? We're going to undo all of that, all the way back to where we have fill. And we're actually going to delete the box, and what we'll do is we'll actually put the button under the spacer there. So we don't have a box anymore. We're just going to drag this in. Of course, I dragged it into the wrong spot. We're going to drag it into that passenger. Sorry, let's try that one more time. We're going to drag it into the, before I do that, just to make sure I don't drag it into the wrong spot, we want to drag it into this details vert box. We're going to drag it into there, and I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to hit that up arrow, so the spacer is now one on top, one on bottom. This will be my release passenger, or not release, unload passengers button. And in here, I'm going to put a text element, and I'm going to change the font size to match the other font, which is 20. So switch over to that font. Our size should be 20, and this will read unload passengers. And I will name this unload passengers button text. Okay, now let's go over to our graph real quick, and let's remove anything we don't need. Well, we're gonna actually change this reference out for our vehicle master. Yes, we want to change the variable type. We want to get rid of that one all in, and we want to rename this actually as our vehicle ref. There we go. Drag that into there. Get. We might need to get another reference to our controller. Ooh, we might not have a cast for our controller yet, and also I spelled vehicle horribly there, so let me try that one more time. Vehicle ref. There we go. Alright, so let's quickly go over to our vehicle, and let's go to our event graph. We do have a reference to our controller here. Okay. Right, so vehicle ref ground vehicle. Drag off of here, type in controller ref, get controller ref, plug it into there. There we go. And inside of here, well, we're going to start deleting these functions we're not using anymore. If at this point you get an error saying the function's still in use, find where it's in use and make sure it's deleted. Alright, compile that. And let's go back to our designer for a second. So, just want to double check that I have set that to transport. I did. Highlight where we have civilian, go to bind, create new binding, and this will be our get vehicle type. So get vehicle type. And in get vehicle type, what we are going to do is we are going to grab our reference to the vehicle reference file there, or blueprint. We are going to do vehicle type, which we want to get our vehicle type. And we are then going to drag off of here, and we are going to search for enum2 string. From there, we are just going to plug directly into a return node. Compile that, hit save, go back to the designer, and then grab that first 04 we have, hit bind, create new binding, and this will be get current passengers. So get current passengers. And in here, we're going to do something very similar. We are going to get our reference. We are going to drag it in and get, as I said, we're going to get our current passengers, the array we created in the last episode. And from here, we are going to drag off and we are going to get the link. This just returns how many items are in this array. And we are going to just plug that into there. Okay. That gives us that. And we're going to do the same thing pretty much for the rest of this. So for our max passengers, we are going to just highlight it, create binding. This will be get max passengers. And again, drag in our reference to the vehicle. And we are going to look for that element we created in the last one, which is max passengers. And we're just going to convert that over. There we go. All right. Now here comes the weird one. We are going to create a binding on this button because we do not want it visible when there are no passengers in the vehicle. So we're going to hit bind, create new binding. Ooh, sorry, actually, undo that, delete that, go back to the event graph. I grabbed the wrong binding, not the tooltip. So remove binding from tooltip if you did that. Go to visibility and hit bind, create new binding. And this will be our set unload button visibility. All right, just drag this that way. What we're going to do is we're going to back drag off of this return, and we're going to create a new local variable, which will be visibility local. Unhook this, and we're going to need a little bit, well, we're not going to need that much space, but just for now, we'll create a bit more space. We're going to have a branch in here. What we're going to branch is, do we have anybody in that passenger list? Yes or no? And then the true or false will set what visibility we are going to use. So let's first make sure we have passengers in there. So grab our reference to the vehicle, get it, and then again we want to get our current passengers. And we want to check, is our last index greater than 0? In other words, do we have somebody in there? So is it greater to or equal, sorry about that, greater to or equal to 0? If so, then we are going to have visibility. If not, then we're going to be hidden. So let's grab our local visibility. We're just going to set it up there. And there we have visible already. Nicely put in there for us. Grab it again. Put it off the false, and we're going to change this to hidden on the false. So we come in, we check, do we have anything in here? If not, then we're hidden. If true, then we are visible. Plug that into the return. Put a reroute in so it's pretty when we plug this in. And there we go. And then notice we're not passing this directly into the return value. We're setting it and then using a getter to actually determine which one it should be. Okay. So that actually completes out all the functions we need within our, actually no it doesn't. Okay, it completes all the functions, but not everything we need to do within our HUD. We need now to give this button functionality. So go down back to the graph and go to onClicked. And then we are going to, again, get our reference to our vehicle. And now we want to give this button functionality so that when a vehicle comes to a stop, it doesn't automatically release people. We have to hit this button to do so. We might even want to make a key for this later on, or you can do that if you remember how to do access mapping. We're going to search from our vehicle ref to remove passengers. And we're just going to plug that into there. Okay, so now let's clear up this remove passenger so it doesn't automatically fire when we come to our destination. So we go back to your vehicle master, go to your, not remove passengers, but we'll come back to that in a minute. Go to your update movement and unhook remove passengers from there. Go ahead and delete that. And in fact, we can actually delete this branch now because it only will show up if we have that option. Though, just to be on the safe side, I'm actually going to put that into the remove passengers just because I'm a paranoid person like that. So if we have passengers, then this can fire. Okay. So inside our vehicle master and our update movement, we need to do one more thing. We need to actually add a bool in because we don't want them to, there are bugs if we fire this off while the vehicle is moving. We want to create a new bool, which is moving. And so that's going to be a bool, so we'll just move that into the bool folder right away. We want to set that to false here. So when it stops moving, this becomes false. We want to set it to true as well. So we're going to set it to true in a, sorry, I'm just comparing my file. I have is passengers elsewhere. We also want an is hidden bool as well, so let's just create that. We'll use that in next section hopefully, but it is good to have in place. I was wondering why I didn't have the is hidden for a second. So we also want to set the is moving so we know when we are moving, and we're going to set that in our move to location. And where a place I like to set it is right after we get this constant. So I'm just going to move this starting time constant back. And I'm going to plug into here is moving. Oops, sorry, not get. That should be set. So we are moving at this point. We turn off the handbrake and everything goes forward. So when it's moving, we can't use that button. Well, we haven't actually set that up fully. So let's go back to our remove passenger. We're going to highlight everything here for a moment. Let me just scroll out a bit. I'm going to unhighlight the branch. Of course, that doesn't work for me well. And unselect the branch. Move this over this way. Way too much. Move that that way. And what we're going to do is actually we're going to unhook this. Not only does it have to have passengers, the vehicle has to be not moving. So has passengers has to be true. Is moving needs to be false. We're going to grab the is moving and we're going to search not. So not true. This is not a true value. So it has to be has passengers and has to not be moving. Plug that into there. Compile and save. Now another thing we're going to do in here is address a little bit of that bug where we're having characters not spawning properly. Delete that. Duplicate it. Plug one into the X there, one into the Y, and we're going to change these values to 150 to 700. I could have literally just duplicated after I did the number change. I realized. Sorry about that. Okay. So now with that in there, we should have less issues. Let's also remove this breakpoint. So we now are setting it a little bit different. Let's also go to our, let's make sure we've got everything correctly set up for that. Just gonna check my get passengers, make sure I've made no changes here that might be relevant. There is one more change we are going to do here. We are going to take our passengers, this passenger's temp, and we are going to clear it at this point when we're completed. So grab that, type in, not whatever I just typed in there. Sorry, the mic is blocking my view of my home key, so I just kind of reached for the keyboard and didn't notice what I typed. We're going to put that in, and there we are. We're clearing this out. And in clearing this temp array out, we're actually dealing with a few bugs that might show up. All right, And now finally we need to make the HUD show up. Easiest way to do so, unhook this, move this out of the way for a second. Actually, you can leave it hooked in and put the sequence in it. It automatically puts it into pin 0, I realize, but for some reason I'm paranoid and always forget I can do that. That is a me thing. That isn't a technical reason on why I undo that. So we cast to our controller still. We now need to create the HUD just like we did in the unit. So we are going to drag off here, create widget, and this will be of our vehicle info HUD. And the vehicle ref will be a reference to self. And we want to create a reference to this widget. So we will do, just like we've done before, our HUD vehicle ref. Actually, I'm going to double check that's a naming convention I've used in the unit as well, because I'm just paranoid I've used a different naming convention. Yep, it is. Awesome. Okay. So we now have our reference to our HUD there. And before we do this third pin, we're just going to set some things up down here. We're going to right click, do custom event, and this will be our display vehicle HUD. And yes, oh, I'm actually going to rename that real quick. There we go. I like having a HUD all capitalized because it is an acronym. And just like with the unit master, we are literally going to have the same thing here, except we're going to have a different reference to our HUD. So, ooh, what the hell if I actually went to the right thing? So, what we'll do, still not the right thing, is we will add in 2 new inputs. And this last one will be a bool, which will be bypass, which we'll probably use in the next video. And this last one will be our actor of type actor, just like in our unit HUD. We'll pull off of here, and we'll do a branch, and we want to know, well, is this equal to self? If not, then we shouldn't be displaying this to begin with. So are we equal to ourselves? If not, then hopefully we're a unit, we'll display something. If not, then we shouldn't be displaying anything. We have that, and we know that's going to come off of here. And we want to know, you know, we either have to be equal to ourselves, so we always have to be equal to ourselves. We either have to not be hidden, or we have to have a bypass in. So we'll put the or in there. And then we want that is hidden. And again, we want to drag off of this and get the not. So either we're not hidden, or we have a bypass, and we are definitely a car or a vehicle reference here. If any of that's true, then go ahead and add our HUD to the display port. I'll just move that to references. So get and add to viewport. Sorry about the typo there. Add to viewport. Extend this out, and the Z order on that one should be 1. We then want to get our controller. We want to set this to UI mode only. So set UI mode only. Plug that directly into there, and we're just going to drag that up there. We're going to drag the controller reference down a tiny bit, put a reroute into it. See if we can line it up just a little bit. We know we can't. And then we want to do set. Oh, sorry, no, not set. We want to get our HUD game time reference. From here, we want to do set is enabled. We still want to be able to use this so we can change our game time when we have the vehicle HUD opened. So we set is enabled. All right, let's test this real quick. Hit compile, spawn in your vehicle. Okay, so it's not letting me select it. Because I forgot to do that top part. I keep forgetting to do that. So up here, let's just gonna move this down so we have a little bit of room. We need to actually call a binding. If you remember in our unit master, for example, we have this binding up here. Well, we need to do the same thing in our vehicle. So I'm just gonna move that up a tiny bit, Put a reroute in just so the lines are a little bit neater looking. And we're going to drag off of here, and we are going to do, actually sorry, we're going to get our controller reference first. We're going to drag off our controller reference, and we're going to do display unit HUD. We want to bind event to display unit HUD. We're going to grab that into there, and we will just move that there. Off our event, we will do an event dispatcher, create an event, and this is why we did that earlier part first. We have our event down there already ready for us to go. That sounded weird in my own ear. So spawn in the vehicle, and there we go. We have type transport, we have no button showing up, and we have 0 4 passengers in. I want to fix one quick thing there because that spacing is going to drive me up the wall. That would be in our HUD. I don't know why I went to the wrong thing. Alright, so what are we missing? We're missing a spacer here. So we're just going to put that spacer in. Just click it over until it's in the right spot. Why is that? There we go. So that now should run correctly. Spawn our vehicle in. Spawn a unit in. And there we are. Grab our unit. Oop. And there we are. We have the button showing up. We have release passengers. Once it stops moving, and it's in a bad spot because that tree's in the way. So just, you know what? Oh my God, just go to stop somewhere. Thank you. Of course, I hit the wrong button. That's on me. Trying to tell it to park on top of itself does not work well. Oh, that is an interesting bug that we should not be getting, actually. I'm not sure why it's doing that. All right, let's release our passenger real quick. It releases, and it works slightly better than it did before with regards to making sure the units go in correctly, or come out correctly. On the remove passengers, we're going to make one more change real quick while I'm thinking about it before we figure out why it was just doing that really weird thing. Oh wait, no, I left it at 150. Sorry, I changed it in an earlier test. So what is happening when it's not clearing out our vehicle? Let's just save that real quick. Close that out. We don't need our unit master for anything. I'm just going to double check that we haven't done anything I've forgotten about. No, we haven't. Okay, so let's just work out why that issue is occurring. So let's just hit play one more time. I'm going to spawn in a unit, spawn in a vehicle. Huh. Put a unit into the vehicle. Well, that is a glitch I don't seem to be able to replicate for some reason. We're going to hit play. We're just going to spawn the vehicle in. Huh. Alright, no idea what caused that glitch earlier. So, if that comes up to anybody else and you're able to replicate it and, you know, tell me the exact process you went through to get that glitch to occur, then hopefully I'll be able to solve it. So as I just quickly, because I'm not going to be quiet about this, search just to make sure I haven't missed anything that might explain what's going on there. That kind of rounds out everything we need to do for the unit section. And to show you that it works with multiple vehicles, let's just spawn in 2 vehicles, and let's spawn in 4 units for each. We're just going to put them into their respective vehicles. Ah, there is something I skipped. There is something very important I have skipped actually in this. There's a reason. So let's go back for a second. Let's go to our player. Let's open up our player controller. And let's, in our event graph, take a look at our get into vehicle. Well, our issue, why those units did not get into that as easy as they should have, actually has to do with our setup in here. So within here, what's happening is we are actually just getting this array's length. we need to clear the array as well. So let's just move that for a second. We need to get our set passengers. So if we go to our unit control, set passengers, get and clear. Without clearing this, what's happening is even though we reset passengers sent, it's taking the number here and adding 1 to it. So it's going, hey, I'm full, and then it clears it because it goes, oh, yeah, it's now 0 again. It adds 1 more in and goes, hey, I'm now 2 past where I should be, clears it, and you can add another unit in. So let's try that again. Spawn in 2 vehicles, spawn in 4 units to each one. Tree's in the way there. Spawn that car too close to the tree. And there we go. Move that car there. And then one pops out. Move that car there. Sorry, that was me left clicking. That's why that happened that time. Unload passengers. We have our 4 come out. And unload passengers. And again, we have our 4 come out. So there we are. All set and working. I'm just wondering if I hit the wrong button earlier, which was causing the issue with it just highlighting it. That said, that closes out the unit section. And later this week, we will be getting into our construction and building. And then after that section, we're going to tie everything together. So we'll have harvesting. We'll have a working HUD for our resources. And we'll add in other features to make the RTS more rounded out. And then after that stage, we're going to be nearing the end of the series outside of putting the AI in and some other finishing bits. I say finishing bits like it's short. A lot of the last stuff is going to be really complex and long. So just to warn you guys, if you notice that the style I've been doing this in is that we have something where we can see an output at the end of every video. As we get further into the complex stuff, or as we start the complex stuff, actually not farther into it, as we start the complex stuff, there will be very little visual output that we can see as evidence of, oh, we've achieved something. In fact, sorry, I'm just saving everything. In fact, it won't be until we're farther into the series in those sections, especially say in the AI section, that we can see any effect. So that said, outside of some of the basic RTS tools like, construction and we currently have, if you want to see anything else, go ahead and put a comment down below. Let me know what you want to see. Also, go ahead and, feel free to hit that like button if you like this video, and if it, lets me know that I'm bringing you material you appreciate, and it helps get that tutorial series out there. And in addition to this, make sure that like and subscribe button, that subscribe button, the notify icon, so you know when the next video is out. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.